And the Gospels and the other books of the New Testament were written after that, 30, 40, 50 years after that. Almost all of the books in the New Testament, though, are written within the 1st century AD. These books were originally written in Greek. When I teach this large undergraduate class, one of the questions I initially ask them, is just to see how much they know about the New Testament, is I ask them, in what language were the books of the New Testament written? And remarkably, well, some of course think it was written in English. But apart from those, people do know it was written in an ancient language. Many of them think it was written in Hebrew, which is wrong. The Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, the Jewish scriptures were written in Hebrew, but the New Testament, all of the books of the New Testament were originally written in Greek. This is because Greek was the lingua franca of the early Roman Empire. Since the conquests of Alexander the Great, some 3 centuries earlier, when Alexander the Great spread Greek culture throughout the entire Mediterranean, it became common for the elite throughout the Mediterranean to speak Greek. And so if you wanted to communicate broadly in the Roman world, you didn't use Latin, the language of Rome, you used Greek, the language of international culture and commerce, much as today English is spoken throughout much of the world. But in those days, Greek was spoken throughout much of the world. And so the New Testament contains 27 books from the 1st century, written by 14 or 15 different authors, written in the Greek language. I should point out that Greek was not the language spoken by Jesus and his followers. Jesus and his followers, who were all Jews living in Palestine, spoke the local language, which was Aramaic. Aramaic is a language that's closely related to Hebrew. It's different from Hebrew, but it's closely related to Hebrew, and that was the language of Jesus. So that when you read the New Testament Gospels, you read them in English. The English is a translation of the Greek original of the Gospels, but the Gospels written in Greek are in fact translations of Jesus' sayings which were in Aramaic. So by the time they come to you, you're getting them third hand.